Hello.
Hey,
How you doing?
you should sure want to get ready to give you that.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I picked up her husband's last year.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you. All right. I'd like to welcome everybody to the August 8th meeting of the Metropolitan School District North Posey and ask everybody to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So start off by reading the vision, mission, core beliefs, and high priorities.
Our vision is we inspire all students to achieve their potential for learning life in a safe and supportive environment. Our mission is we partner with our community to create a dynamic and innovative educational experience, empowering students to become educated, productive, and responsible citizens. Our core beliefs, we believe our community is vital to our educational success. Everyone is valued and treated with respect, and always telling the truth, and educational opportunity for all. Student-centered programs challenging and inspiring learning, and in the pursuit of excellence through a strong sense of pride. Our high priorities are enhancing the student experience, investing in teachers and administrators, fostering strong relationships among all, and maximizing resources.
All right, so we'll start off by looking for a motion to approve the minute, claim docket, and consent items.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent items as listed in the fund docket.
Second. Motion by Mrs. Will, second by Mr. Oakley. Do we have any other comments or discussions? We did get the 3 add-ons onto here that were communicated, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. And that motion carries 4-0. I forgot to mention that there was nobody signed up for it. So. Okay. Next one to Mr. Galvin.
Okay, new business this evening. First off, we have approval of our adult meal prices. As you know, this is sent off to the Department of Education, and they kind of work with us on a formula to figure that out. So the adult price, breakfast price for 2022-2023 school year will be $2, and the adult lunch price will be $3.75. And this is a little bit of a reduction in the adult meal prices, just because last year we were on free, and so the meal prices were higher to compensate for that. So that's why it's coming down a little bit.
Right, looking for a motion.
Make a motion, we adopt the change in meal prices as Stacy Newman Smith requested.
Second.
So we got a motion by Mr. Colley, second by Mrs. Will, to approve the adult breakfast and lunch prices. Any discussion?
I do have a question. So I know that this really doesn't have anything to do with the adult ones. So I think I've heard some schools are still getting the free and reduced lunch, but we are not.
Not that I'm aware of. So what happened was that they continued the USDA waiver through the summer school program. Several corporations have that. But going into next year or this school year, they did not continue it. Now I have seen some school corporations that they're just paying for it.
Oh, okay.
So,
that could be.
And I don't know how they're doing that, but they are.
Okay, so I think USC and somebody else, I feel like is what I heard. But,
Yeah.
okay, so they're,
So, and sometimes you can also, if your free and reduced numbers are high enough,
good point.
you can also go to that,
Right.
offering free for the whole corporation. Yeah.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Next up this evening, as you are aware, we've been going through the dissolution with Mount Vernon. But one of the services that we've shared, I don't know how many years we have, Virginia Hamilton, I think is who our OT is. Isn't that Valerie Hamilton. Sorry, I'm thinking of something else. So anyway, Valerie Hamilton has been our OT for many, many years. And when we began the dissolution situation, we talked to Mount Vernon and they said, we would like to continue to keep this if at all possible. Valerie is currently our employee and remains our employee. So what we did was we set up a contract, an MOU with Mount Vernon to kind of share those services, because really neither one of the districts had enough demand to have a full-time OT person. And so that's what we've done with this, is just kind of created this contract with them. We've had our legal service, our legal counsel look through the contract. We've added in some different things to protect us if something would happen while she was down there working with the student and those types of things. So Elise, do you want to say anything more about the contract or anything?
I don't know, like you said, it's Valerie's been working here and with Mount Vernon, so really things for her wouldn't change, but it's just to have that agreement in place since she's not working for Posey County Special Services. She would be working with both special education departments.
So that's occupational therapy, right?
Occupation, thank you. Occupation.
And so mainly what would happen is we would just bill Mount Vernon and they would reimburse us. Are we doing that monthly, I think, or quarterly?
It'd be
It's
whatever same
twice.
schedule.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
So-
in there, I think.
So
it's
they would be
January and
reimbursing
July.
us for whatever services she was providing down there. So we bring that forward for your consideration tonight.
Looking for a motion to approve the contract with the MSD of Mount Vernon for occupational therapy services.
Make a motion to approve the contract for occupational therapy services.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Mr. Oakley, seconded by Mr. Colley to approve. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0.
So the next one, I always enjoy bringing these to the board because this is one of those unfunded mandates from the government, which are always so much fun, So what the government has now, and I believe this is coming from federal government, is what they've asked us to do is we have to look at or have our health program analyzed, health insurance analyzed, to make sure that we are providing sufficient enough mental health services to our staff. So we have to pay an outside agency to complete this analysis so that it kind of meets the law. So what this is this is a agreement. We've talked to Scott Schaus, and this is who they have recommended to complete this. It's one of those things we talked with Scott, could we do this on our own? They said really not, because there's a lot of legal, jargon in the requirements. If they come in, they find something, then mainly you're having to pay fines and those types of things. So really it was more prudent and for us to go through this process. So the pricing is for about $5,000 per year to have them do this. I think it's mainly what it is the first year it's a little bit more expensive to go through it. And then I think each year it's not as expensive.
5,000 is the max, so 5,000 is for sure, it's $4,999 to
Yes,
be exact.
yeah.
For the first year, and then they said that and I think it's in bullet 2 or 3, I think it is 3, but it's impossible for them to just say what the ongoing analysis was, but it would not exceed the 5,000, and they feel it would be less. But they don't want to commit to saying that it'll be less, because if the laws change and they have to do even more expensive, then they want to be able to say that, okay, we told you it could be 5,000. So that's kind of where it is.
Or if we change our provider,
Correct.
then.
Correct.
Yes.
Is this our first year?
Yes, this would be our first year doing this.
So this is a new
Yeah.
edict from the state,
Yeah.
whatever that
Yeah,
term
new
is.
edict from the feds. I drug my feet, and Amy, being my human relations, kept saying, you need to get this done, you need to get this done. But it was just, like I said, I just have a hard time paying $5,000 for somebody to come in and make an assessment of my health plan, because my health plan should be providing this already, So,
Yeah, that's, I know what I was thinking, you pay the insurance company and everything to do what they're supposed to do.
Right. So anyway, so this is what we're bringing forward tonight, and like I said, it's an unfunded mandate.
So looking for a motion to approve the agreement with NQTL.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with NQTL.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mrs. Will, seconded by Mr. Colley to approve the agreement with NQTL. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries forward.
Next up this evening, we have just a request from Mr. Fisher to update or correct the textbook charge approved by the board on June 13, 2022 for the geometry course number 2532. The correct charge should be $18.55 per semester. Amy, do we know how much it was previously?
Right around $12.
$12, okay.
I don't know, that's not an exact figure.
So just kind of be aware there's probably around $6 increase on that. So Sean sent that over, wanting us to have you guys approve that.
Effective this year. Right?
Yeah, effective for the 2022-2023 school year. And so that is, that change will be reflected in the Harmony, the student data system that will go out to the students and stuff. So we bring that forward for your
The
consideration.
students probably never even saw the other, it was approved in the board like that, but I think they caught the error before it actually went on to like the student schedules, which is where they see that amount, I think. I'm not 100% on that.
I've already written the check out. So.
Yeah,
Same.
same here.
Because I think we just opened that up. I
Well, then
think,
you would be able to
last
answer that
Monday,
question.
so-
I didn't look.
I need $6 more.
Yeah, that's possible then. If I'm incorrect, you'll have
That's
to
not the
call
last
it out.
$6 that my kids are gonna.
You get that NASA letter from me, Vince.
All right, looking for a motion to approve the correction in the geometry course textbook charge.
I'll make a motion to approve the corrected textbook charge.
So you're gonna balance the $6.
Maybe 12 if they're both taking it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the joy of twins.
Second.
I'll second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We got a motion by Mr. Oakley, seconded by Mrs. Will to approve the correction in the textbook charge. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Vince, can you turn this back there to Lois? So this evening, we bring forward for your consideration an overview of the 2023 budget. As you're aware, we have to post this on Gateway and we have to get permission from the board. And so we're kind of starting down that road of where we have certain deadlines that we have to meet in order for the board to be able to approve the actual budget. And so this evening, I just kind of wanted to go through it a little bit. First off, before we begin, I just want to commend Carol Lufer. Carol does a fantastic job with our accounts. She just brings so much knowledge to the table. Carol pretty well takes the Miller form every year and she fills it out and she comes in, and as you guys may or may not know, we work with Brian Harmon, who used to be superintendent at North Gibson. He's now actually up at Lagodi, and we work with him to kind of go through, and lots of times there's been a few times that Carol has actually caught Brian's mistakes. This past this year I actually told Carol, I said, when you retire, I said, you just need to let us just pay you to come back and do this, and then we don't have to pay Brian anymore, kind of keep the money here in the community. But she just does. She does a fantastic job and is very thorough, very detail oriented. And so just to kind of talk a little bit about, mainly our budget is based on an 18-month calendar. And the reason why I say that is when we go to build our budget, what ends up happening is that it mainly starts July 1st and goes to the end of the year and then goes through the next calendar year. And so what we're mainly looking at is as of kind of that June 1st cash balance, what we submit at that time to the Department of Local Government Finances, Form 9s. And so that kind of gives us where we are. And so then what has to happen from there is that we have to say, well, how many appropriations do we have left for the remainder of this year? And you kind of enter that process saying, what happens if we spend 100% of those remaining appropriations? Okay, so that's kind of what you're going from. You're not going to do that, but that's what you kind of plan on. We look at what remaining revenue that we have for the rest of the year, from now until January, and then we begin to kind of look at for next year's budget. Are we doing any pay increases for next year? Do we have any? Of course, we look at the capital projects. You look at bus transportation, and so you begin to build that budget for next year. And then also you look at your revenue for next year. So, one of the things, of course, is the funding formula. We're going to get a bump per kid for next year within that funding formula. So that's definitely going to benefit us. But also you have to look at where's our enrollment at? How is that progressing? Because just because you're getting a bump on the per ADM per student, if you drop in attendance, you may end up actually having less money than what we had last year. So to kind of walk you through, first off is the 2022 estimated property tax cap impact. So, as you're aware, Governor Daniels a few years ago put in place the property tax cap, stating that property owners did not have to pay above a certain percentage, okay? That no matter what happened, if they hit that percent, then their property taxes were capped at that point. And mainly what happened is that the government entities that participated in that, civic area, they would lose that money. So for example, for us, it always behooves us to know, like, is the library getting ready to do a bond? Because that would impact our property tax cap. We've talked a little bit about, like, is there a TIF district within our school corporation boundaries and stuff? So when you look at this, the financial impact proposed financial impact for 2022 is mainly going to end up being about $79,726.22. Now, really, if you can see there, the lion's share of that comes out of your operations fund, because your debt, you've got to pay that. I mean, it's just like at home, you've got to pay your bills, but the operation fund is kind of where that, you don't have to buy buses, you don't have to repair the buildings, so that's usually where they take the lion's share out of that. Now, keep in mind, this has been going on since probably about 2011 or so. So it's not a huge amount of money for us as a district, but when you think about that over the number of years, it amounts to a pretty good chunk of money for us as a district. And what's happening is that is continuing to go up, okay? Not a lot, but it just continues to go up each year and stuff. So just kind of want to make you aware of what is that impact this year on the property tax caps. There are some districts that it's $1 million. There have also been districts across the state that property tax cap has mainly shut down their operations fund. They haven't been able to roll buses, those kinds of things. So it's definitely impactful.
And this is the increase on property tax.
Yeah. So at the end of the year, what happens is we come up $79,726 short. We lose those monies. Okay, we don't get that into our coffers that we could have gotten into our coffers. So education fund estimated revenue. So let's take a look at that. So what I've done here is I've kind of done some looking at my cash flow sheets, what I'm saying projected cash balance on 12/31/2023, and I'm basing this upon where I think we're going to be at, is about 1.5 million. Okay, that's finishing down a little bit lower than where we started the year at, which is about 1.6. But as you're aware, we gave some pay raises this year, so we got into that cash balance a little bit. I'm being very conservative in that. I think we'll finish higher than that, but I always like to err on the side of being conservative. Our projected basic grant for 2023, and this is mainly just plugging in our ADM, And where we are projected at right now, if you'll notice down there a little bit further is I'm saying that we're gonna have a 1392 ADM. Once again, what happens is the state asks for us to kind of make a best guess scenario in March. So March of last year, I had to kind of look at my crystal ball and say, where do I think we're going to end up at this year? Well, we graduated a very large senior class last year, and we had a very small incoming kindergarten class. And so it's much better for us to say it's guess lower than guess higher, and we end up owing the state money. So the 1392 is where I'm at right now. And we'll kind of give you some ADM counts here in a few minutes of where, based upon where we are on Harmony right now.
What were we last year?
Last year we were at, I think in February was 1421. So yeah, so we've dropped about, that would be about a 30 kid drop, but we've been enrolling a lot of kids. So, but also, it's a gamble until really usually when it ends up hurting me the most is my high school, because you've got a lot of kids who transferred or gone someplace else and we just don't know about them yet. Elementary parents are usually pretty good at reporting that in. So your projected basic grant based upon that 1392 number would be 10,500,000. Okay. Miscellaneous revenue. So that could be anything. That could be summer school. We get some other kinds of just revenue that comes in. So that adds up to about 42,000. So total revenue for the year is going to be about 12,042,000. Then, of course, like we said, we're always able to transfer over to operations fund, because you remember correctly, a few years ago, we moved, like central office moved over to operations fund. All of our custodians moved over to operations fund. You used to be able to pay some out of electric in the general fund. All of that's now moved over to operations fund, so that the state allowed us to move some money to cover those expenses from education fund into operations. So we do about $1.5 million each year, and it's about $125,000 per month. That is the maximum that we ask for the board's permission to transfer. Now, as the year comes down, we may or may not transfer that amount. If the operations is looking good and I want to keep some money in the education fund, I may not make those transfers as we come down to the end of the year. So a lot of that will be just determined. That has to stay, you're put on a naughty list if you get above 15% of the basic grant transfer, okay? So you have to watch that very closely. We're right about 13 to 14% is where we are. So we're in a good position with that. And Carol does a good job with that. The education, so therefore education fund revenue for appropriations is going to be about 10,542,000. And right now, what Carol has come up with for approximate appropriations for next school year, or excuse me, for the next calendar year is 9,450,000. Okay, so that's bumped up a little bit, of course, with our pay raises and stuff like that. And just to remind you, we have a 2-year contract with our Teachers Association. We're going into the second year. We did put that disclaimer in there that said that if we drop below 1,400, that we may not do those 2 additional bumps. My opinion, and Michelle and I have talked, we've looked at our finances and stuff, and especially with the way economy is going and inflation, I think we're going to be able to handle those 2 bumps, even if we are a little bit below the 1,400, and I think it's what's best for our people right now. The other thing, and I forgot to announce this morning, the other positive thing is we are not going to have any insurance increase this year. Our health insurance came in really, really good. Wow, I know. I about fell on my seat too, because this is the first time it's happened that Scott has given me good news. So we're very excited about that. So it's the nice thing about that is that those 2 bumps are going to go straight into their pocket. We're not going to be taking any of that back for health insurance. So we're excited, and our people we had a good year. We had a good year, and hopefully that will continue for another year. Keep using the clinic. Exactly right. So that's our education fund. Any questions about that? Okay. Going to the operations fund. So so once again, education fund is mainly solely supported from your money coming from the state. Okay. You get that ADM count. The other things that figure into your basic grant of course, is your enrollment. We also get money for special education students. We also get money for career technical education students. And we also get money for the number of students who graduate with an honors diploma or a technical honors diploma. So those are kind of all those four mechanisms go together to give you what is your basic grant, what you get from them. So all that money mainly goes into the education fund. And to be quite honest anymore, education fund is really nothing more than teacher compensation. We have very little amount in there for classroom supplies. When you look at it as a whole budget, if you say, well, we're gonna make some cuts, you're really not gonna be able to make any cuts within classroom supplies because it's not gonna really impact the overall education fund. It's really your teacher salaries and benefits is really what eats up that entire fund really, so.
Maintenance, cafeteria, all of that is on operations?
Yep. Maintenance is in operations. Your cafeteria is in food service fund.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a totally separate animal. So yeah. So your operations fund is what is supported by property taxes. Okay, so kind of going back to that tax cap again. This is where it really enters into it. And of course, your operations is including your bus replacement, bus transportation. It also deals with your facilities. Like I said, it handles custodials, central office, those kinds of our human resources. So our projected cash balance on 12/31/2022, I'm projecting about $950,000 to be left, based upon my cash flow sheets. As you know, we are finishing up our guaranteed energy savings contract, so that's coming off. That's about $300,000 annually that we've been spending. That will be staying in the operations fund. And so we're excited about that because we've got some things that really need to be replaced and taken care of. Property tax collections, we're looking at about $3,454,030. We are really blessed in this community because a lot of our people pay either their full amount in property taxes and their installments, or else maybe it's done in escrow or something. But we got really a lion's share of our money at the June settlement. And so that really helps us out in kind of planning for that. Then, like I said, we have three other taxes that come into that account as well. The license excise tax, which we get about $265,000 on that. Commercial vehicle excise tax is about $24,000. And the financial institutions tax is about $70,000. And a lot of times, a lot of this stuff, once again, kind of coming back to where we are, we base it upon past history, but also it's just kind of looking at that crystal ball and just kind of saying, what do we think is going to happen based upon our past history? Is it going up a little bit? Do we feel like that, okay, it's going to bump a little bit, or is it going to pretty well just stay the same? So, the financial institutions tax, that of course is your banks in the area and stuff. So that's what that covers. So that's going to give us a grand total to kind of work from about $4,763,030. And then of course, like we said, you have the transfer in from the education fund to the operations fund of about $1.5 million. So total revenue for next year is going to be $6,263,030. So our approximate appropriations right now, what Carol's kind of projecting is $5,400,000. Now we are required to post on our website what our capital projects plan is, as well as our bus replacement plan. As you're aware, our bus replacement plan was to lease. We started out leasing 12 buses, but the cost went up, so we're leasing 11 buses. Okay. Because of the price change that they did. We still have not received those buses, just kind of give you guys an update on that. They are sitting and they are waiting for different parts. As kind of Bernie talked to the sales rep about a week or two ago. So, he said that we might start getting 1 or 2 buses here and there over the next few months. But supposedly, I think hopefully we'll have all of them by February is what the plan is. So that lease payment we'll pay on an annual basis, and that is about $324,165 for that. So we are also supposed to kind of post capital projects plan, just kind of give you some things that need to be done. The health clinic roof needs to be replaced. I've gotten a bid from Moats Construction for $4,900. If you've not driven past, we had some shingles come off, I think back last spring or so, and we got that covered up there, so that definitely needs to be replaced. The remodel life skills classroom at junior high, high school, that one there, we have some what's called ARP money. This is kind of the ESSER money, but it's specifically for special education. You cannot use it for anything else except special education students. And so Dr. Camp had shared with me prior to his leaving that classroom really needed to be remodeled. I don't know if you've been in there, but the kitchen kind of has a makeshift setup to get rid of the wastewater and stuff. So we've worked with our architects to kind of reconfigure that and actually hook it into the the correct sewage system and stuff. Possibly put in a bathroom. The 2 air handling units that are in there are originals as well, so we'll replace those. So about 80,000 of that, I believe, is coming out of the ARP money, and then we would cover the other 120,000 out of the operations fund for next year.
Have we already taken bids and everything on it? Or
No, we have not. That's
something that's
yeah,
coming up.
yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about that at that working session and begin get board approval so that we can begin actually taking those bids, Larry. Because legally we have to, because of that being federal funds. So replace first grade classroom. One of the things that we wanted to start to do, we did it, I think, my first year here, we started with kindergarten. This year we had some emergencies come up, so this kind of got placed by the side. But what I want to start doing is kind of coming through each grade level and replacing furniture in all the classrooms. So replace all the first grade classrooms across the district, which is about 6 of them. It'd be about $96,000. It's about $17,000 per classroom is what it is. We've had some issues with the softball backstop fencing. And I don't know if you guys have been to a softball game or not, but the fencing on the backstop doesn't really go out far enough to protect our stands and stuff. So we've got some pricing from Tri-State Fence on that. That's going to be about $14,418 to do that. We were able to last year take advantage of a grant through the playground company that we're working with at North Elementary. And so we were able to purchase the 2 big units. So we have the big unit down here in storage for the 3rd and 4th playground, third and 4th grade playground. And so what we did was just put in some additional about $10,000 there for next summer for us to do that second phase of the playground over there. And then district security upgrades. As we've shared with you, we put about $50,000 into that. We are trying to get a lot of grants to cover some of those costs. But as I've shared with you in the past, what we're mainly doing is going back through our key card system was pretty well original in all the buildings. So we replaced Central Office and South Terrace this summer. The plans are for possibly even before next summer doing North Elementary and then starting on the junior high and the high school. In some of those situations, we're actually replacing some doors because the doors are they're not closing all the way, they're not latching. So those are some things that we want to get fixed and taken care of. It was interesting. I'm not going to share who it was, but I was talking to someone just a few weeks ago. They had the local sheriff's department was doing some protocols with them of how to evacuate buildings, how to protect themselves from intruders and those kinds of things. And the door was not latching. The teacher knew that they had locked the door. The teacher knew that they had shut the door, but the door was not latching. And the intruder was able to just kind of come right in. So this is, it's one of those situations that we want to try and make sure that all of our facilities are updated and that, we have some
drill.
Yeah, it was a drill type of thing. Yeah, it was a drill type of thing. But that's the whole reason why we do them, is to make sure that,
Right.
And that didn't happen here. It was someplace else. But we're wanting to make sure that those kinds of things are taken care of and fixed if we're having problems with them. So
That was a good clarification. So I'm like, if we have a door that's not latching, that should fix it now.
yes, exactly right. Yeah. So yeah, so that's that's kind of what we're trying to do, is work through a lot of our doors, like North Elementary. A lot of the doors are original doors over there. So we did a walkthrough last year to kind of begin replacing those. Those are about $10,000 a piece to replace those doors over there. And you know, it's not one of those things that the public really drives by and goes, oh, look, new doors, you know, it's not like, you know,
It's probably painted the same.
it's probably painted the same color, yeah, you know, but it's definitely a something that we need to be doing, you know, as we go through. So, and really quickly, kind of going back as well to that life skills classroom, what we're doing is as we begin remodeling classrooms, we're replacing the doors to make sure that they're more secure. You know, a lot of the doors nowadays, in fact, if you walk through, they're taking out or moving the window to where you can't bust the window and just reach through and open the door. They're moving those windows. So as we're kind of doing these remodeling and things, as we work through the classrooms, we're actually replacing the doors too and replacing all the lighting in there as well to where they're more LED, more cost efficient and stuff. So, any questions?
I can't not mention this. What about the,
Basketball floor, right?
I wasn't gonna say basketball, we haven't heard on that yet, but the scores table,
Yes.
the bleachers, and I know that's probably something that's down the road, and the lobby, were we going to do something
Yes.
with those plaques and everything like that? I was just wondering.
So those have not been put in here yet because Waylon and I are still working on that. We really don't have a price for it yet. The bleachers I do, and the bleachers are about $127,000.
And that's just for one side or both sides on the bottom?
I'm not sure, Larry. I'll show it to you
I
afterwards.
think it maybe was both sides.
Maybe both sides, but yeah. And the scorers table, that's another thing as well that Waylon and I have talked about that I think we're trying to figure out what he's going to cover and what I'm going to cover. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I'll mention it every time I get a chance.
I know you will. I appreciate it. And we are working on it.
And if
So.
we look at that ceiling, where
We have,
more on that.
I have talked to Scott Stefanago when we were doing the walkthroughs. He said what that is that it was not primed correctly. And so he said, really what needs to happen is we need to go back and prime it correctly and then paint it correctly. And he said, that's really the issue. It's not really a leak situation. It's that it was not painted
It
correctly.
wasn't leaking, I don't think, from what anybody said.
No, it's just, yeah. It's
And
just
I don't know
flaky
how
and
many people look up at the ceiling or anything like that. I've been in that gym, I don't know how many times, I never noticed it before. So.
Yeah.
But it is,
So we're trying to try to do some things like that, and you know, I'm still learning how the district does some things. So we hired Rod Will to come in this year and do some stuff. The sign at South Terrace, the front sign was looking really bad. The other thing I'll let you know is that it was in Mount Vernon colors. So anyway, we switched it out. The letters I think probably were originally powder coated, maybe like black, but it had been worn off for so many years that it was down to kind of the aluminum. So we painted them a light gray and we painted the frame a black. There's still some beams underneath the canopy that are maroon, but they're going to be painted next summer. And then Rod also did the main hallway over here at North Elementary. And so what I wanted to do, first of all, is I wanted to find a local painter because I like to keep money locally. And so that's what we were trying to do. And so Rod's I talked to him. We're just going to kind of start talking to our principals. And if there's things that the custodians don't feel comfortable doing, or, you know, custodians maybe can't do it because they're just not experienced painters, then we may have some Rod pick up some projects throughout the year and stuff. So I mean, that's the kinds of things that we're going to start working on. So, but yeah. Okay. Next up, bus replacement plan. Just once again, $324,165. I had 13 buses there, but I was trying to.
That was the plan. We can always do less than that.
Yeah. So we actually ended up purchasing 11. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 11 buses. So just make a note of that on your sheet that there was 11 buses that were actually purchased in that. And so we'll have that total yearly payment from 2022 to 2026 of $324,165. And then at that time, we'll replace the other half of the fleet, hopefully, to where then we would kind of have that rotation.
and the first half will own at that point.
Correct. Yeah. Okay, as I stated, the next page is mainly dealing with your debt service. You have two debts that mainly are part of what kind of comes out. The first one is dealing with that debt payment for New Harmony when they came on board. So that project balance, and keep in mind that they do not allow you anymore, and I can't remember the exact percentage, but they don't allow you to carry a large percentage of cash reserves in these accounts anymore. and it's dependent upon when the debt came on. But project balance on 12/31/2022 is going to be about $68,474. Once again, kind of the same three taxes: license excise tax, commercial vehicle excise tax, and financial institution taxes. And you can see there that it's 65,000, 6,000, and 15,000 respectively. Then your local property tax levy will be about 1,104,870 to give you a total revenue of 1,259,344. And then over there on the right-hand side, you'll see the appropriations, and you have your bond leases there of 848,001 cent. And then also our unreimbursed textbook is taken out of there for $29,143.99. The way we come up with that is like, for example, our free and reduced lunch. What we do is we submit that to the DOE, and then we are permitted to get a certain percentage of that back. It's never 100%. They have a formula that they plug that into, and then they tell us how much money we can get back for those unreimbursed textbooks. So that total there of appropriations will be $882,274. At the bottom, this is your other debt that you have for bond leases, revenue sources, debt service. Once again, the three taxes: license excise tax, commercial vehicle excise tax, and financial institutions tax, respectively of $35,000, $3,400, and $10,000. And then you have a local property tax levy of $461,765 for a total revenue of $510,165. And then your appropriations, your bond leases are $498,000. So even though these are impacted slightly by the property tax caps, these are your debts, you have to pay them. So that's kind of where these come into play and stuff. The other thing I wanted you to be aware of too, and this is something that we've talked about before, but I always like to reiterate it in case you are asked a question when you're out on the sidewalk someplace. Is your operations fund, you have what's now called, I'm sorry, I didn't see you down there. I'm sorry, I was looking. So you have a growth quotient fund, or a growth quotient. This is kind of a percent that is permitted for your operations fund each year. This year it hit the highest that Dr. Harmon said it's ever hit. It's usually around 3.5%. It went to 5% this year. Carol, of course, expressed concern about it because what happens is if you take the full amount, then it looks like you are increasing property taxes a little bit, okay? The state allows you to take the full amount. And as you guys are kind of aware, I have my Kentucky license for superintendent, and Kentucky kind of has this same setup that you can take a maximum amount of levy, but after that, you have to go out and ask for a referendum. Well, the state has kind of set up the same situation. And like I said, this year it was up to 5% because assessed values have gone up because of, the good economy, so those kinds of things that bumped up to 5%, which meant that we needed to take that full amount. And I asked Mr. Harmon, I said, well, what happens if you don't take the full amount? He said, oh, no, you don't ever want to do that. Because he said, you lose that money. That money mainly compounds. You mainly what ends up happening is you don't take it now, then it continues to compound itself going forward. Okay. So if I don't take that full amount now, then it'll continue to happen as we go down the road. So I wanted to show you what is our advertised tax rate compared to our actual tax rate. So lots of times what's advertised is much higher, okay? Because you want to go out and you want to try to get as much levy as you possibly can. And what usually ends up happening is Robert Norris is who our DLGF rep is. He'll come back and he'll say, well, you're not going to get that much money. This is how much money you're going to get, okay? So you can see in 2020, our advertised rate was 1.3217, but the actual rate was 0.8776. Okay?
That's what they took out.
Right. Okay, and that's total rate. That means that's for operations, debt, and both your debt services. Okay, so that's your total actual tax rate. Now, the one thing I want you to know is that that tax rate, as you can see, is going up a little bit, which if you remember correctly, when we had Stifel come and talk to us, he said that that's what is happening. It's slowly going up. We do not know what our assessed valuation is completely this year. That will kind of be shared, but that you all are paying, we've seen what's happened to the housing market. Hopefully that assessed valuation might pop up a little bit, okay, which will benefit us. But I wanted you to just be aware that when you take that, and like I said, everyone I've talked to said to take the full growth quotient, that's slowly bumping up that tax rate a little bit, okay? Which means on the flip side of it, it reduces the amount. If you want to keep that tax rate level, it reduces the amount that you can go and borrow on your bonds, okay? So that's kind of that trade-off there, all right? So in some ways, you're getting that money in your operations fund to where you can take care of your facilities and your buses. But on the other side of it, when you go to do your big projects with your bond, you may not be able to borrow as much as you used to be able to, okay? So just kind of wanted to make you aware of that situation as we go forward. Any questions on that?
Why did we go down and advertise tax rate?
I don't know, Larry, because when I put this information together, I was very intrigued by that we were advertising less than we were a few years ago. And the funny thing was Carol, when she showed me this, she was very, very concerned about advertising the 1.2892. So I kind of want to go back. I've not had a chance to talk to her today and ask her why were we advertising higher and we've kind of gone down a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, and the gap is getting closer there.
Yeah. And I don't know whether that's, I don't know. I know that we've done, we were hit kind of by that farmland balancing and stuff that hit us, and I think that might be done now. So maybe it was.
That's what I'm wondering, is if it's just the fluctuation in assessed value.
Yeah, in the assessed
for the
value.
county.
Because when you look at our assessed valuation, we're pretty well stagnant. We're at zero. I mean, we will bump up a little bit and then we'll bump down. But when you look at it over 5 or 6 years, it's pretty well zero. So
Do we set that advertised rate, or is that set by?
yeah, so mainly what we do is we go through, we figure it, and how much levy do we need to raise, and then that helps us determine what tax rate it has to be at. Yeah. And usually what happens with your operations funds, like I said, Robert will send us back our 1782 notice, and he'll say, you're only going to get X number of dollars. And so then Carol and I have to go in and say, well, what are we going to cut at? And it just depends. Twin Lakes, sometimes I had $200,000 I had to find. So you just kind of cut projects and things like that. So current financial health as of July 31st, 2022. So this came right off of your end of month reports that we get from Carol. Education fund balance was at $1,700,022.81. Our operations fund balance is $761,764.14. Rainy day really hasn't done anything because we've not put any money into it and we've not taken any money out of it. It's $1,244,452.85. Projected enrollment for September 15, 2022. So this is our first count. We're projecting a count of 1392. Now, as of today, in Harmony, Michelle, I had Michelle check that, and we are sitting at,
Without preschool, 1416.
so we're at 1416. Okay, so just keep in mind, anything over that 1392 is kind of icing on the cake. So
But that's how many we have enrolled with Harmony, right?
with Harmony,
And some of those are last year's students that we might not know.
some of those could have moved and they've not notified us yet. Their other school corporation hasn't sent through that, hey, we've gotten this kid and we need you to pull them out of your system so we can put them in our system. So yeah, so we're going to be fixing that over the next few weeks.
Right.
The other thing is our preschool numbers are really, really good. This is a new program. This is our first year for it. And Aaron and Shannon have done a great job, and they're very excited about the numbers that we have. We feel like that was a good
They don't
response.
count in this at all.
No, No, it's kind of a, it's a self-funded program is what it is. Yeah. Okay. So current basic tuition support, this came right off of my DOE 54, is currently $6,658.93. So that's how much we get per kid. And like I said, let's say that we get the 1416, which if we do, I will be overjoyed. The way they do that is the state will get us caught up in November. So November and December is when we'll get those bumps and they'll get us caught up. That's why when I said earlier, I like that number, that 1392 to be conservative, because I'd much rather them owe us money in November, December than we owe them money. I don't like writing a check back to them.
Kids that go to the tech center for half day, there are students, right?
There are students, and we I don't know exactly how that's done anymore, but they get a certain amount of money and we get a certain amount of money.
Okay, so that's split between the two schools.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
We don't get 6,600 because 3,000 goes there or
Right.
whatever the number
Right.
is.
Yeah.
What about kids that go to the New Tech High School? That's just like a transfer, right?
Yes. Yeah. If they don't come here at all, then it's a transfer
I
situation.
know we lost one to that.
Or like, let's say, for example, they go downtown to Signature School. That's a transfer. Yeah. So we lose all funding on those kinds of situations. Yeah. Projected cash balances for December 31st, 2022. Once again, this is my crystal ball. Kind of looking at those cash flow sheets that I've sent to you sometimes. Education fund balance, I'm projecting a $1,653,845.04. That is almost exactly where we started at last year, or at the beginning of this year, up maybe about 20,000. Operations fund balance, I'm projecting $1,172,660.09. And rainy day fund is just sitting there for that rainy day that comes along. So.
You get the 10 cents worth of interest we get.
So, you know, like I said, this is looking at the bumps that we're going to give, trying to put those into my figures, looking at any additional expenses. What we usually try to do here, it's also just for the sanity of Carol and Lori, is we start shutting down our purchase orders usually around 1st to middle of October, to where, you know, we're not having purchase orders all the way up to the end of the school year, and we just kind of, or into the calendar year. And that kind of helps us to kind of start closing down those books, kind of getting a better idea of where our funds are going to end out the year at and stuff. Like I said, the other thing is that transfer from education fund to operations fund, you know, as we come down to the end of the school year or into the calendar year, we may or may not make those last 2 or 3 month calendar or month transfers. We can definitely hold those there. And that's $125,000 that we're transferring per month. We've talked a little bit about, you know, we get permission from you guys through that. I can't think of it now, but anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, you guys give us permission each year to transfer $300,000 from operations over to the rainy day fund. We're going to see, I'd like to build up my operations fund a little bit to where we can try to get some things taken care of here in the district and stuff. So there's a part of me that would like to leave that money there and not make that transfer. I think we're still going to ask for that permission to do that, but we may or may not do that, and I'll let you know.
Okay, tell me what the rainy day fund is for.
So your rainy day fund as a board, and this is my understanding of what it has been. There are some boards who do this and there are some boards who don't do this. The rainy day fund is for mainly, it's your savings account, Larry, for when you have emergency situations come up. I do not, what I've tried to always practice is it's one-time expenses. You know, it's not that, hey, we want to give a pay raise to our teachers and we're going to transfer 200,000 over. That's going to be a reoccurring cost. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I thought it was, but I didn't.
Yeah. So, you know, one thing that I think I talked a little bit about to Greg is we just recently had Duke Energy come in. They provide electricity for North Elementary School over here. They currently have a rebate program of where they will come through and replace all of our light fixtures with LED light fixtures. Normal cost is $125,000. We get a 30% rebate, which would cost us $79,000. So, of course, then they have figured in how much savings this would be down the road, on your electric bill, those kinds of things. I've sent it to Scott Steffenagel to kind of take a look at it to say, is this worth it? Are the lights good? Are the lights not good? Those kinds of things. That may be a one-time expense for us that could come out of rainy day, because you're kind of investing in something that hopefully will save you money in the future through energy costs and stuff.
That's Duke Energy that was going to do that?
Yeah, it was Duke Energy.
The power company itself.
Yeah. And like Jeff and I talked about it too. It's like, well, if it's that big of a price, do you have to get bids? But I don't know how that works when it's your electrical company that's coming in and offering the process. So anyway, but
It's beneficial for them.
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. So, any questions about the budget?
Thank you for being patient with me.
Oh, no.
I learned more about the budget today than I ever have last year. I'm afraid to ask questions most of the time.
Anytime. I want you guys to
I
know.
won't remember this next year as well, or next week.
So, Mr. Vice President, we need permission to advertise the budget through the gateway system on the state financial side.
So we're looking for a motion to advertise the 2023 budget.
I make a motion, we advertise 2023 budget.
Second? Motion by Mr. Colley, second by Mrs. Will. Is there any discussion on the item? All those-
Where is this advertised? Where's Gateway or?
So Gateway's on the Department, I don't know if it's Department of Education, it's probably Department of Local Government Finance. Is where it is.
We had advertised in the Posey County News last week or the week before or something.
So the Capital Projects Fund and the Bus Replacement Fund has to be posted on our website.
Okay.
And used to, you had to put the whole thing in the newspaper, but they've slowly kind of whittled away at that through the years, and now it's just on Gateway.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries 4-0.
Next up this evening, we have for you your professional leave request. Bernie has been asked to go to a Bluebird OEM training. This is kind of to understand the computer and how to service the buses, the Bluebird buses and things. Michelle, you want to say anything more on
This
that?
is actually to both old and new buses. So he'll be being trained on the new software that's being put in, but also anything that might be reoccurring with your 10-year-old buses. And so it's just a professional development that is a great price.
Yeah.
Free.
He's going to stay with his daughter as well. So that's why there's no motel with it. He said, I'll stay with my daughter, and all he needs is the van use. So there's that one. Sean Fisher, Aaron Kester, and Shannon McMunn have requested to go to the School Safety Academy. I will also probably be including in Steve and myself to go to that as well.
All right, looking for a motion
As I'm choking here.
to approve the professional leave request.
I'll make a motion to approve the professional leave request.
In a second.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Oakley, second by Mr. Colley to approve the professional leave request. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries 4-0.
Back to school, we had our teacher meeting this morning, 7:30. We want to thank Froggies. They had a great breakfast for us. They also provided the breakfast for our bus driver meeting, and it was outstanding. I mean, their hash brown casserole is absolutely great. So if you've not tried it, but anyway, but we appreciate that partnership that we have with Froggies. We also want to extend American Fidelity as who paid for the breakfast this morning, so we want to thank them for doing that. We also gave away a lot of door prizes. We have great vendors. Crane was there, Evansville Teachers Federal Credit Union was there. Scott Schaus was there with our insurance company. The Mutual of Omaha representative was there as well. American Fidelity rep was there. AIG rep was there. And I'm missing somebody. Forest Man rep was there as well. So we appreciate everybody that showed up. It's great for them to be there, and our teachers get their little bags and go around and get their wares for the school year. And so we appreciate them coming out and doing that. We went into the auditorium and had our meeting for about an hour, and introduced all of our new staff. I will say that they were very appreciative of Officer Carter joining us as our school resource officer. So we're excited about that through that process.
He
And
looked like a different guy in Posey County.
he did.
Sheriff's-
Yeah, he had his sheriff's uniform on.
I don't know
so,
why. I mean, he didn't look like the
Yeah,
same guy.
he was sworn in last Friday, and he has his sheriff's card now too as well. So we're excited to have him on board, and I think he's just going to be a great addition for us. This afternoon, junior high and high school did some curriculum mapping in science as well as mathematics. And elementary teachers went back to their went back to their schools and had their meetings there as well. So I just want to commend all of our principals and all of our staff. I want to thank our custodial staff as well. The buildings look great this year. They've really done a hard job of getting things together. I also want to thank Sonia in our bus transportation. We brought in the new software package this year, and we started early, thinking that we would have everything together, and it just doesn't happen that way. It never happens that way if you've ever had a new software implementation. But Sonia has worked her butt off to make sure that our bus drivers have lists. In some cases, I think she's just handwritten them out so that they had them. But we are ready to roll tomorrow. And so I want to extend my sincere appreciation to Sonia for making sure of that. I also want to thank Amy Motes while she's here tonight. You don't realize how much work goes on behind the scenes to get our new people enrolled in everything and set up with email and computers and passwords and all that kind of stuff. First of all, she did a lion's job last year, and she looked at me and she goes, "You better not happen this year." So fortunately it did not. But we just really appreciate all the work that she does and making sure that she gets, we get everybody put into the system and ready to go that first day of school. So, so that's kind of where we're at. We're ready to roll tomorrow. We're excited. As you guys are aware, we split the fourth grade into 3 sections over there. Tracy Newcomer, I think, moved back into that 4th grade position. And so we've got Raylan Seibert is going to be covering the 5th grade position. And we have a teacher that we think may end up taking that position. The life skills classroom, we do have covered tomorrow with Elise. And we have some people, Pam Spawns, coming in to cover as an aide to help out this week as we kind of continue to try to look for that person to fill that position. So, it's not where we want to be, but we're probably in a lot better shape than some school districts are. So fingers crossed. But just pray for our students' safety tomorrow and our teachers as we go back to school. So, Michelle, you want to add anything?
I think the only other thing I would add is just a reminder that we're launching that Norseman Academy, and done and some of our alternative placements throughout the day with like an in-school suspension room and that kind of thing. We're excited about that. We've been meeting with those teachers, and they're real excited. We're working on referral forms and process, and how we'll identify students that most appropriately would maybe fit in that, and then how entrance plans, exit plans, those kinds of things, to make sure that they are served well. But everybody on the team is really excited. So.
I thought the atmosphere in the assembly today was really good from most teachers.
Good.
Maybe I didn't read it right, I don't know, but it seemed like they were ready to get back, get to work.
It felt that way, didn't it?
Yeah.
We have really good staff, really good people that work for us and care about our kids. So don't forget the ISBA conference is coming up on October the 2nd to the 4th. I think we have all the rooms reserved and ready to go for that conference. So So just be aware of that. And the other thing, I'm going to be sending out a press release. Greg will be running for re-election for the school board election in November. Jeff will not be running this next year. So if you're aware of anybody for, what is that, District 1, that would be interested in that, let them know us, or let them know us. Well, that sounded really good. So, have them contact me and I'll kind of explain to them the process. We'll be planning on, I'm going to do a press release because I think the deadline is towards the end of August, and I think the 26th, yeah. And then what I usually do is anyone who is running, I like to invite them in and kind of go through and talk to them about what are the expectations of the school board member, so that they kind of know ahead of time. So like I said, if there's anybody that you're aware of that might be interested in it, I'm also more than happy to call people and twist arms and that kind of stuff. But anyway, so we want somebody who's going to be good and cares about our staff and our students. So
The fall conference, I'm gonna drive up on my own, either before or afterwards. I'm gonna spend time going, not to Center Grove now, but Greenwood Christian Academy.
ready to change.
I very well drive on that one. And that's a long way off still.
And plus, by that time, I'm gonna be a great grandpa. And
Oh, there we
I'll
go.
have to go see that baby. Be about 2 weeks old.
That's the real reason. So that's all we have for this evening, Mr. Vice President.
Okay. Anybody else have anything for the good of the cause?
Okay, I have a question. Oh, okay.
Yep.
At the top of page 2, when you did the group approval, you have a 2-year renewal contract for Canvas.
Yes.
What is Canvas?
Canvas is what our kids use. It's the online software package that teachers can post homework assignments in, lesson plans. Kids can submit their homework through that as well. It's really kind of a key component for when we do e-learning as well. Teachers can put videos on there. It's pretty well.
It's used a
Every day.
lot.
Yeah, it's used a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
I know as a sub, they don't lay out your plan anymore for you as much. They go to Canvas and
Yeah.
they do that, and then they'll give you some instructions, but you don't have to put everything there. And the kids know it.
Yeah.
You know, they'll come in before I have a chance to go over and say, on Canvas, you're gonna find this. They'll be telling each other what they're gonna do.
Lois, the technical term for that is a learning management system. We use Canvas and Google.
It's kind of like, sounds like Blackboard that I use at
Yeah.
USI.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
You got it.
That was one question. The other thing I was asked, and I wasn't sure the answer to this, I said I'd ask tonight, is does your gifted and talented program continue? I know it's real strong in the elementary level. Does it continue into junior high and high school?
Yes. Yes, we have a high ability committee that meets pretty regularly, and we look at the students that are gifted and talented, and then how to make sure that we're appropriately serving them in junior high and high school as well.
But they don't necessarily have as much of a pull-out program as perhaps they do at elementary.
No, not necessarily. No,
Okay.
we're mostly serving that through advanced courses
Okay,
that may be differentiated for that student even within the advanced course.
okay, thank you. And that's all, thank you.
Anybody else?
I just wanted to, on the next board meeting, I know I cannot be here that day, so I wanted to make sure.
I think Jeff said he.
Jeff, I think
she'll
he'll
back,
be here.
okay.
Yep. No, we need to harass him a little bit because
Yes.
Did you see the post for first day of school?
That was really funny.
Anything else?
All right, looking for a motion to adjourn then.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Collins, second by Mr. Oakley. And we are adjourned.
Talked to Natalie today and said Katie has really improved what we do. She thought that the